What's going on? This is your man Terrence J. I'm here back for another edition of Toxic is the New Masculinity. I have to my right, I got my man KY, and to my left, I got my man Bossy. And we have a special guest in the building. We got Miss Veronica hanging out with us to keep us in check. See, we letting you guys know that every time people talk about masculinity, they always want to call it toxic. We'll just let you know, we're just a bunch of men that have our own viewpoints. Everything we think is not toxic. And we're so much not toxic, sometimes, we invite, a lot of times we have ladies on to make sure they can check us in real time, because we know in the comment sections, if we say something out of line, you guys are going to let us know. So make sure to continue to comment, like, share, subscribe to our page so we can keep this thing going. We can keep bringing you a lot more episodes. Now, with that being said, we got a topic today. And the thing is that a lot of times we have a lot of discussions about, relationships and people finding each other. And there's a lot of talk to where they say, there's somebody for everybody, which I disagree with. And I'll tell you guys why I don't believe that to be the fact. But the thing is, so now the topic today, we're going to talk about a lot of times people talk about it's hard to find a good man. So the question is, do you think it's because most men generally do not know how to treat a woman, or are women making bad decisions in the men they pick? So with that being said, we're going to jump right into it. Since we have a guest, we want to go straight into it with our guest. So the question is,
and don't cheat. You can't say it was a little bit of both. Don't cop out. We want to know, in your opinion, where do you think the pendulum swings?
But even before we do that, I want to know, is a good man hard to find?
No, it's not.
There you go. See, we got somebody on here to say
No, it's not. It's not. A good man is not hard to find.
Okay. All right. So with a good man not being hard to find, why do you think that tends to be the conversation a lot?
The reason why I think that that's the conversation is because women just pick wrong. Mm-hmm. They just don't pick right.
And a lot of times that's going to be a point of contention in a conversation when somebody says, "Hey, it's your fault, you didn't pick right." And so from your experience or just people you've known, what are some of the reasons that a lot of times women are picking wrong?
So some of the reasons is because of how they were raised. Some of them not being raised by fathers in the home, so just being from a female dominant space. Some of it being that they run after finances versus like if it's balance or alignment, and just being young, like not fully being mature as a woman, or even being loving self. Like a lot of times a woman doesn't even fully love herself, so she can't give that to another person, so she'll just pick what feels good at that time. And sometimes you could be in a space too late and you're there for a period of time and you're like, dang, I can't believe I did this, and you want to get out of the situation, but you're like 10 years in, and you're like, dang, I made the wrong decision.
Oh, wow. Okay, so wait a minute. And the crazy thing is, I had a point to make, and you just led me into that. You said you're like 10 years in.
Yeah, 10 years.
Okay, I feel that a lot of times that women waste a lot of time, like almost like they have forever to be able to pick and choose this right ideal moment, situation, person. How do you get 10 years in? And I'm not saying where things start to go bad. A lot of times these things are starting from the beginning, but there's justification. There's, I'm going to make it work, or I can fix him, or I can do this. Why does that happen a lot?
Well, it depends too. So like if you're young and you're a career-driven woman, then at the beginning of your life, you're focused on your career and don't have like kids and like other obligations. You don't even really have time to even learn your mate. And so then when you get maybe like in your late 20s going into your 30s, it's like, okay, now I kind of know where my direction of life is going, and now I can kind of sit down and actually date my partner. But then you realize, like, this man is a little boy. Like, I'm dating a whole little boy for real. Like, we ain't even aligned at all. But for the first 10 years, it's like it really didn't matter, because it was like, hey, how you doing? Let's have sex. Da-da-da. Like, let's do the little weekend. We're together. We're a family. Then during the week, you don't really have to spend a lot of time with them because you have your obligations. You might be in school, you might be in your career, you might be a parent. So that's how it's easy. So then after the 10 years, it's like, okay, now it's time to start traveling. Let's deal with like finances, especially when you're coming from a black home. We don't really learn financial literacy until college or until we change our the people that we hang around. And then that's when we start saying like, okay, now let me see about investments and things like that. So
okay. And so I think we got a lot in that opening. And one of the things Veronica talked about was women chasing finances. Have you guys, seen that, experienced that? Boss, you got married, later in life, and you've been balling since before balling was balling. So, so have you seen that in your situation? Because I do believe there's a lot of times people talk about, oh man, this guy's talking about, woman wanting for money, but he ain't got money, and I'm always saying money is relative. Because if I make 50 and you make 20, I make money to you. If I make 100 and you make 50, I make money to you. So there's always a level of somebody that's chasing you for more than what they got. But have you experienced that before?
But to add on to that, it's relative. But even though the man might make the 50 and the woman might make the 20, my 20 could still be more than his 50 if he doesn't understand money. If he doesn't understand like spending, if he spends and at the end of the month I still have more money than he has, or my savings is bigger than his. So that's also something.
What's Boss's favorite saying?
That's also something too.
We lose 50% as soon as we What's your favorite saying?
And I disagree with that too when you had said that.
That's true. Man lose 50% of his net worth as soon as he get married. but two things. I'm gonna answer your question first.
Okay. Then
address something you maybe think about. It's not applicable to all women, but just this question you were asking her about 10 years. But I will say this. And as far as money, and at least in my experience, right, I do find that women in general just like security.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And they see that in security. And then there's some women or people. I say women only because it's the process that we're talking about. But people in general look as like, hey, if I could benefit from your financial gain, then I'm going to do that.
But you know what? Let's be real. That's usually less on the man side looking toward a woman. Oh, if I can benefit off your financial gain.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, but in general, people in general, like, let me turn it this way. You're saying women because the topic is relationships, and that's true, right? But all of us here, at some degree in our life, have been successful, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And how many times have people seen you be successful? Or you have your boy, your brother, your uncle. Hey man, I got this investment. Why don't you give me? That's what I'm saying. People to a degree, if they see that you're successful financially, what I mean. I can tell you, I picked up cousins and aunts that I never knew about. You know what I mean? But back to the relationships aspect, I just think women in general do look for security.
True.
All right, and if they don't, you can even see now as far as the education process, like more women are becoming, head of companies. More women are far more educated than they ever have been. Right, they're far more financially stable than they ever have been. Okay, so now you're getting a process when it comes to dating. They feel like I could bring as much to the table as he can, So then there's a dynamic of what do I need him for? I'm not saying that's a right thinking, but I am saying that has become a thinking, right? So you see a lot of women use nomenclatures like I'm a boss bitch and stuff like that. Like I don't need a dude because of this. I bring my own, and that in itself is toxic language,
right?
All right,
exactly.
Yeah. So that in itself, because and we discussed this before about bringing in the bread does not substitute an authority or a headship. Okay. Now I'm not trying to get in discussion of submission at all, nothing like that. I am just saying, men in general, right, whether they deserve it or not, innately feel that they should be some headship in the relationship, right? All right. And so what happens is we have women who are looking for so much security. She finds that she can secure her own needs financially. She then, in some cases, feel, well, that supersedes a man's feeling of being an authority. Because it always comes, well, I'm making all the money, so you can't make any choices. I mean, we talked about that before in the past. But the point is, I think, so yes, I have found that in my relationships, I found that there are women who see, the objective is they'll see that, hey, he got money.
Yeah.
So I want to be with him. And it's a fact. I cannot say I know what women think. I can't say that. But I can say in our world, you tend to see dudes who have money have much more choices than females.
Well, and here's the thing, and I do understand the need for security or the need to search for security, right? And when it comes to relationships, and we're specifically talking about men looking for, women looking, for men, somebody who can provide a level of security, right? The thing is that, do you think that the ideal of security has jumped out of whack? Whereas, like, okay, you got to have so much money to be able to do this, or it's not looking at the total or the totality of security and what a man brings, only what his wallet is.
Are you asking in general? Or you asking,
I'm asking Keith.
Well, my take on the whole subject is I got two pieces of this. First thing is we lost women being feminine and being soft. I'm not trying to date a dude. So you want to be a boss bitch? Be a boss bitch. You want to be a dude? Be a dude. But I'm not messing with you. I need somebody. I need a feminine. You can be feminine and work, but the problem is, you go to the workforce, you're over people, you supersede people. So now you want to come home and supersede me. That's not going to work because biblically, I'm the head of the household. So now you want to take my role. And that's to each his own. That's just on me, But for me and my household, the response when you go out in society, if the light's not on, if the car broke down, don't nobody come and say, "Hey, man, your girl, your wife, whoever she is, your significant other, she didn't take care of that." No, they come to me. So why should I give you the steering wheel to the car when all the blame comes on me?
It's kind of like, a lot of times we like to use sports analogies where the head coach or the quarterback is usually on the podium.
Right.
No matter what the other team is.
Right.
And I know you say you wish the coach can walk up there and say, the quarterback can't throw, the receiver can't catch, the running back fumble, and the lineman can't block.
And so for
but
me,
you can't do that.
You can't do that. And if you do, are you the head coach? That's what you get.
Yeah.
And I just want to share this story. I met a young lady, and it was so ironic for her to say that. She was writing a book, and she was just saying the generational curse of women. So you got a lot of women who mothers have downplayed men, so they dogged out their fathers so much, so their whole mentality growing up, because all you heard is your dad's not this, men are not that, they're not gonna do this, they lazy, they trifling, they this. So that's embedded in your thought process. So a lot of times you can have a dude standing there, but in your thought process,
there's a mental block.
It's a mental block, and she was writing a book on that. It was funny to hear a woman say that.
Yeah, and I think as we have conversations like this, and really have conversations with the ideal of we're going to try to have a reasonable discussion with some solutions and things to fix some issues and problems. Not so much of a it's you versus us. I think that understanding of the trauma that a lot of women go through is equivalent to a lot of times how it has been spotlighted that a lot of trauma that the men go through when it comes down to whether or not daddy was there or how toxic was mama.
Yeah.
Right.
And so a lot of times, I'm always saying, we got the spotlight shown on us first by saying, you got, you got this, this is the problem. And I think a lot of times, we've been, as men, in general, have been expressing like, hey, there's something going on the other side too. But now I'm starting to see some women saying, okay, hey, maybe what I was taught wasn't right.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to go back and reevaluate
self
and what was downloaded in me. And
So we lost trust on both sides. So
absolutely.
Absolutely.
When I say both sides, I'm like, women have lost trust in what they see across from a man. A man's lost trust in what he see across from a woman.
Absolutely.
So now to go back to the drawing board, how does that look? Because you got to understand, I got to rewrite this thing. But I'm used to this path, but now I got to rewrite it. So how do you rewrite it? Because before you can rewrite it, you got to have trust. You got to step out there. You got to be vulnerable.
Yeah, that's not Dress's question, but I wanted to jump in before you said that question because, or just to kind of, put evidence to what you just said. Like, because I had what you just said about being raised and having like a lot of negative rhetoric, right, about the man. Because my pop left when I was 2, right. But my father was heavily involved in my life. You know, I have no remembrance of my father being in the house. You know what I mean? My mom and pop was married, I think, 11 years, and they divorced when I was 2. Well, no, he left when I was 2. I think they got divorced. Whatever the case may be, right? But I knew my mother never had anything nice to say about my father.
Right.
Like, ever. Never had nothing. My father never had any negative things to say about my mom my entire life. My pop died when I was 27, right? He never, in 27 years of me being my father, I never heard him say anything negative about my mother. Like,
Right.
Never.
Why is that?
Never.
Why is that?
Hold on. This the point is bigger than that.
upbringing.
Now, my father had a family. He left, right? He had kids. He left. Never paid child support or anything like that. But he was very much involved in my life. So I want to paint the picture. So my mom was angry with him because she had 4 kids she was raising. And again, he didn't pay child support, but he did support us, particularly me and my sister. Like,
Right.
and he could have done more. I'm not, but my pop was my boy.
He still was
that was
there.
my
Yeah.
dude. Like, and I want to say this more than anything. If women out there, I say more than anything, I get kids need to be financially supported. I'm not saying that, but I am trying to tell you, in raising your kid, presence means everything. All right,
Absolutely.
get the dude to be there first. Just give him to be there. But back to it, right? When I was in college, I had a conversation about my sister with my sister. Well, my mom just dogged my pop like crazy, but I never felt in a position to defend him because what she was saying was right. I knew where the anger was coming from. Right. Then my sister said this to me. She said, "No, I'm sorry. I was out of school. I was on my own. I was out of school." My sister said this to me. She said, she said, "How long have you been living out the house?" Probably 3 or 4 years, something like that. She said, "You've been with mom every day of your life, right?" And I'm not narrowing my mom's personality down to this situation because my mom was a great woman. I'm just talking about this position specifically. He said, "How long you been living all my life, right?" She says, "Now I'm gonna ask you a question. If you live with mom all your life, right, and you're not married to her, right, would you be willing to go back and live with her?" Right? But I think I said, "Hell no." And then my sister said, "Now imagine being married to somebody." And I was like,
Yeah.
You had
that's
to
when
see,
it
you
hit
had to
me.
see
That's
your
when you
mom.
thought about it.
You had to see your
Yep.
mom as a human and not as a
Absolutely.
mom.
As a
That's
mom.
a difference.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but basically, my sister was saying, you
Imagine
only
what
heard
dad had
her
to go
side.
through.
So
Yeah.
imagine how your father felt.
Yeah.
So get this.
And I
It's
was-
funny you say that because
Yeah.
going through my divorce, my ex was like wearing me out with my son.
Yeah.
And my son, it was very courageous for him to say, "You know what? He's my dad. He's not my husband. That's your take on it. To me,
Yeah.
he's a great dad.
Right.
So he didn't
Right.
take on her negativity.
yeah.
Right.
You're looking, they said, from your point of view, it could be very well there. But from my point of view,
It's
he's
not.
a great dad. I'm
Yeah.
not, he didn't.
Right.
But he was old enough,
He was old enough to compartmentalize
Right,
and
right.
understand
Yeah.
relationships.
And that's something that you can say. I mean, I've observed. Like, I can tell you, this dude right here is a hell of a father.
Yeah.
I'm not
Amazing
going to say he was a
father.
bad husband. I'm not going to say that. But I do know, with them being married young, they were growing in different directions.
Right. It wasn't
So
aligning.
it wasn't like he was bad or anything like that. They were just growing in different directions.
Look, I know this dude.
Right.
And I know his son.
Exactly.
He didn't pass on nothing because his son's smart. I don't know. This dude, right?
Look, I'm trying to elevate my dude, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Okay, Memphis. It's okay, Memphis.
Hey,
So-
hey,
MTN.
today I'm humble today, y'all.
Okay, so
No
I guess
alcohol. I'm
so
humble.
for me, listening to everything that you guys said, absolutely agree wholeheartedly. I think, like you were saying, what are some solutions? Is, like you said, creating those small groups, and making sure that you're putting yourself in those positions to be able to have these type of conversations, because psychologically, when you look into it, everything stems from childhood behavior.
Absolutely.
And so if you don't heal from the little girl or the little boy that you were, you'll take those unconscious, bad, challenging behaviors into your next situation. So I'm a believer, right? So when I really became a believer by myself, not what my grandmama and them said, and I got married to my husband, my ex-husband, and I was just like, man, he terrible. Like, he was a terrible, just a terrible human. I'm like, what the hell was wrong with me? But I was like, you know what, God? I'm going to really believe your word. I'm going to really love this man. I'm going to love him unconditionally to where I'm going to see if this going to help shift his narrative, because I'm raising a little boy, and the way these kids are going now, they need those father figures. So I would just affirm him. Like, every time we would talk, he would always apologize. I'm like, man, you already been forgiven. Like, you're a great human. Like, what we got to do to get you together? You know what I'm saying? He was terrible with his first 2 kids and everything. So, like, by the time I got through affirming him, he ended up getting his other 2 boys and raising them. And then he completely did a 360 with my son. But it took me having to get out of my own way and not say, oh, I'm just going to put him on child support. I'll just let you get him whenever you want to. I was just like, affirming him, Even his lady, the lady that he went there, I was like, oh my gosh, she's perfect for you.
Yeah.
What y'all need help with? How can I help?
What toll did that take on you as a person, though? Pouring that much into somebody.
It helped me tremendously. It helped me even heal myself, because I was just like, dang, imagine if this was a skill that I had learned 10 years ago. With my little girls, my little girl's dad. Imagine if I would have been able to teach this to other women that have come to me for advice. Or imagine if I would have been able to teach this to my brothers. Like, I have a brother that has 8 kids by 5 different women. You know what I'm saying? So imagine if this was something that they really are. Especially when you produce twins. He got 2 set of twins. So I'm like, imagine, like, being able to share like those kind of conversations. Like, even when Keith and I have conversations, I'm like, no, you got to look at that man in the mirror, and you got to say, man, what did I do wrong, or what did I not do, or what can I fix? It took me back to college, right? I went to business school. One of the things that my professor taught me was SWOT. Remember the SWOT analysis? So I mean, like, even when you're getting it, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So imagine if we teach that to our kids as an implementation of friendships, right? What's the SWOT of this? What's the strengths? What's the weaknesses? What's the opportunities? What's the threats? You can kind of start winging people out, like, do I just want to coat him or date him and just, I know he ain't boyfriend material because he don't meet none of the things on this. You know what I'm saying? Or like, what's my strengths? What's my weaknesses? This person causes these type of triggers within me. Is it even worth my time? Is that
something that you teach? Is that something that you teach your kids in developing relationships? That type of mentality?
Yes,
yeah. I think you
definitely.
have to. Yeah, because
you said you have to.
No,
but
I
a lot
do.
of people ain't.
You have to. You have to because. Especially now, like, kids are so desensitized, right? So they go based off feeling, they go based off visual, and it's like, okay, so this person looks good and they put on a good front, but who are they when you actually have to have that intimate time with them? Meaning, like, we sitting down and actually engaging in conversations, and y'all just driving and ain't saying nothing.
But don't nobody see that on IG. Don't nobody see that on IG.
I know, right?
It's all about the IG look.
I want them to see here's what I think the problem is, right? The problem is when you in the relationship space, right? You got to decide what is it in the relationship you're really looking for. And let me expound on that for a second. If you're looking for just somebody you just want to kick it with, then cool. Keep that expectation. You get what you get.
That's it.
But you find that people will say when they get in relationships, they say, well, I want to be in love, right? It's cool. I want to be in love. I want to look for a husband, look for a wife. And the principle that I think that's really screwed up in that whole factor is the idea of what love is.
Yeah.
It's very, very short, right? When you look at like dating shows and stuff like that, right? People always says when in love, they view love on what could be done for me. And love has nothing to do with you.
It has nothing to do with you.
Right. Love is all about what you're willing to do for somebody else. And that's the problem. So the decisions that are generally made is, okay, let's say, what you're hot in. If your love language is words and affirmation, right? You can get a dude that's a silver-tongued devil. He affirm you all the time.
Every time.
But everything else that's valuable, he's doing on the other side. So when you see it first, he satisfies that need. Yeah. But that persona is not going to be able to last for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
So that's why I was getting back to the point when you said how you be with somebody for 10 years. Because what happens is when you're in that relationship and that immediate need is satisfied, right?
Yeah.
And as you grow into other things, instead of seeing them the whole of a person, you allow that small piece to grow, like to
Well,
always want them to revert back to that. So
but
that's
see-
where 10 years
But
back.
see,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm gonna tell you, this is one of the thoughts that I've had, right or wrong. One of the thoughts I've had is a lot of times I have felt that some of the women in relationships that I've seen that have dissolved, they got a guy for what they needed right then.
Exactly.
If they didn't have a dad, they got a guy who was a very authoritative figure because
Right.
that's what they needed. If they didn't have money, they got a guy who had the money. If they didn't have the attention they want, they got a guy who got a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Just whatever it is. But then as time went on, they realized there was so much more they needed.
Right.
Right. And so they ended up leaving the guy for, well, he's not providing what I need now. And I'm like, are you going to change every season, or are you
Right.
going to get to a point where you realize what you need long term?
Right.
And I think that was last week on the show I was talking about how a lot of times men look down the road a lot of times, and women a lot of times are the reason they can handle details so well is because they're right here.
Right.
And I think they see what's right here sometimes versus what's down the road, and to be able to say this guy is not going to travel with me for that.
Yeah.
To your point, real quick, to your point, back to my pop. My father said best advice he ever gave me. To your point, now it has to be true, but to your point, my father used to say in his experience, he says he found out that men date women for who they are right now and never want them to change.
Yeah, we talk.
Women date men for who they want them to be,
Right.
Yeah.
and they never change.
For potential.
Which is why.
Nah, that's true.
Which is why, because I know you've thrown out yours. Well, hey, here
So what
we
would your
go.
ideal man be? You said, okay, women date for potential. What's your potential man look like?
I don't really have a
You gotta have some now.
necessarily idea of a man, but faith, family, friends, future, and finance.
How
So
close
like
have you
he has
gotten
to
to
meet
that?
all of those F's.
How close have you gotten to that?
Wait, did you say all those F's? I like that.
Yeah.
So
He
how,
has
close,
to meet all those
Right,
F's.
I got you.
Huh?
how close have you gotten to that?
I'm about 80%. It's about 80%. It's like a couple of the F's that we still working on though.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's about 80% of
That's
what we
pretty good.
need.
Well, you know,
So Veronica
Yeah.
basically said, ladies, effing is the key to
gotta get the F in.
That is the key.
Got to get the F's in. If the F's ain't there, F it. Okay. You know what? So now, and to your point, the thing is that if we talk about potential and things like that, I'm always saying for men, we usually understand that the moment I get you, it's all downhill from here.
No.
Wait.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let's see.
Women usually see a guy and say, I can take him up.
I see,
right?
I see where
okay.
you're going with. I see where you're going with.
What I'm saying is, men generally.
He means downhill is easier, like not like it's gonna fall.
No,
Like,
no,
that's
no.
not what you, that's not what you mean.
Wait.
Okay.
So for men, for the things we generally value, right?
Gotcha.
We value looks, right? Mm-hmm. In general, do you start to look better the older you get, or worse? Just in general, meaning that if you didn't know the person, you saw them at different stages. Most of the time, from what we generally look for in youth and looks and things like that, the fine 60-year-old is fine until the fine 30-year-old walks up. Let's be real, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Cooperation. People generally more cooperative when you meet them or later on down the line. That don't even go there with me, KY. Here's the thing. What I'm saying is we understand in a nutshell the familiarity. You're going to start to become more and more of what you are, and your representative of the person that we first met starts to fade away more and more and more, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying that you can't. I'm not saying you can't coexist with these people. What I'm saying is, you might have more attitude 20 years from now than you got right now. But guess what? I understand that was gonna happen. I'm good.
Yeah.
The problem that I have saw for a lot of women is she sees him and she sees everything she can build him up to be. I don't like his shoes. I don't like the way he wears hair. I don't like it. And what happens is, what if he never changes?
Well, T, here's
You don't like it
Hey, T,
anymore.
here's the deal. You gotta understand. She knows that. I don't know that.
You don't know what?
I got this on water.
Well, you gotta understand the situation is, you got a secret narrative that it's like writing a movie. You got the script, but I don't have the script. So now you saying action. So now when I say action, I don't like your shoes. Change your shoes. I'm like, why you didn't change your shoes? I didn't know I was supposed to change my shoes. I didn't get the script.
Yeah, but you know what? But no. Here's the thing. In her head, she says, if I get him, I can upgrade his shoes because his shoes are raggedy. I don't like the way he wears hair.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you on that.
Yeah.
But while she's thinking that, I don't know that. And now you got an attitude like,
But that's what I'm saying.
He ain't doing nothing I'm trying to get him to do.
But here's the thing. When she saw you and she got you,
Right.
she already started looking at the accessories that
what
she can
Yeah.
turn you
But-
into. Because she really understood. She really didn't quite always like your package right now.
Okay, ID, everybody listen to me right now. You know what the problem is with that?
What's that?
The dead-on problem with that? Nobody wants to have an open communication or a conversation where a stage is presented for both people. Because you know what? You're scared of the consequences. Now, if you want me to change my shoes, and you can frown up on that, but
that is the most profound thing.
Well, no, because you know, if
I'm agreeing with you. You're right. I'm just shocked that you said it.
He was shocked that you thought he was profound.
That's what I'm saying. I'm shocked that you said it.
what the deal is, it has to be an honesty stage.
Yeah,
It's
it
got to be a
definitely
stage
gotta
to
be
say, hey, you know what,
communication.
babe? I wish can we try changing your shoes?
Yeah.
Now you got to step out on faith, and then I love you enough to receive that. Say, okay, you know what? I'll give it a shot. But you
Yeah.
can't sit there and I can say, hey, you know what? I wish you would, hey, babe, could you try wearing this? But it has to be a safe space. You got to understand, there's so many pockets in relationships, there's not a safe space.
Right.
Because when I go there, you blow up.
It got to be a safe
So-
space.
It's like that. What's that Freud principle? I'm okay, you not okay.
Right, right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna blow up every time, I'm coming to you, I'm vulnerable, I'm coming at you honestly. We can discuss this. But if you blow up and you blow up because is that a trigger? Is that something, so now I triggered something.
Yeah.
Now here's something with triggers. Now everybody pay attention. I'm finna go with you on this one. So triggers, everything that happens to you in life is like a book in the library. So these they're on the shelf. Now, what you have control of is what book you want to take off. Now, if I take this book off, this triggered this. You know what? I got to know what that book is. But there's a gazillion other books. I can put that book back on the shelf and say, I'm going to pull the book up. I'm going to give this person an opportunity and let me see what they say. Don't let the trigger come off the shelf. Let the opportunity for the other person to speak. Because that trigger right there, whatever that happened, you experienced that. You can't take that away, but you can control the thought process behind that. Because some of us get stuck on one book. Every time you hear something, oh, that triggered me, I got to do, no. You know what? Put that book up. Try something different. You good at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you need a hug?
And folks, I want you to understand. Now, understand this. You guys,
That didn't feel like it was personal.
what you guys have been watching me try to do this whole show is get him going, okay? So just understand.
Hey, I'm being serious.
Remember to control the triggers, y'all. Control the triggers. Leave that book on the shelf.
Here's the thing about being able to try some different things, and that's why even the conversation we're like, hey, what are those things that you can do to be able to make it better for yourself and other people going forward?
Right.
Also, the next generation.
Right.
And as we talk about next generation, Veronica, I know that you have a son, right? And a lot of times there are conversations are being had about boys are being raised to be good husbands, girls have been raised to take care of themselves, right?
Right.
So you said you had a daughter.
I have a daughter too.
Question: are you raising your daughter to be the type of woman that you want your son to bring home?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would be okay with what you're putting into your
Absolutely.
Okay.
Even my daughter, she's 18 now. She'll be 19 this year. She's going to counseling. She started counseling when she was about 15. She's about to start doing counseling with her dad because she opened up to me and was like, Mom, it's some things that I'm just still not, comfortable with him. And I feel like our relationship isn't like it needs to be. And I was like, well, this is a conversation that you need to have with him. And so I, in turn, even have a conversation with him like, hey, she's getting older. She's about to date more. So she needs you in her life. So are you open to counseling? When she was a little girl, I was like, bro, we had her young. So we taught her a lot of things unconsciously. So we even did family counseling, and Keith was laughing because I'm like, we the Huxtables, baby. Like my family, his family. I go over there for Thanksgiving with his new girlfriend. She works out with me because I'm just like, I'm all with this. I'm like, because at the end of the day, this is our village. So I teach that to my kids and I show it to them like, this is the new life of how we have to live instead of being separate and divided. No.
So what did you wish you had got as a girl growing into a woman? What is that lesson you wish you had got?
So for me, I think if I would have had more love, like my grandparents raised me, right? So my grandfather was the type of guy that gave my granny his whole check, and she just literally gave him $100. And I'm like, dang, so that's how it go? But that's not how it's supposed to go. And so my grandmother ended up having a spending problem. You know, like I'm like, Granny, how you 80 and still in debt? Like, I don't get that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy to me. But my grandfather spoiled her so much to where that's all she knew was like, I get all the money, I get to do whatever, as long as the bills is paid and he get food and he good. I'm like, no, that's not right. But I never seen my grandparents like hug and love. So when I came around, I was that for them. My dad, you know, he grew up in like the era of drugs and
you were that the affection piece,
right? The affection piece that was me for them. Like, I love you, Papa. You know, I love you, Granny. And so even with my dad, like sometimes I would say I love you. He'd be like, all right, you know, I'm like, what you ain't gonna? So I just, you know, softened him up. I had to soften him up, but now it's like, I love you, baby. Have a good day. How you doing? You know, it's different. So it's like, dang, imagine if you grow up in a home with that. You grow up in a home with leading with love and leading with conversations and not leading with anger and frustration and feelings. And my granny's 80 and she had a fit one day. And I said, can I tell you something? And I know you consider my elder without disrespecting you. I said, do you want to go? I said, where? I said, you believe in Jesus, right? You believe in all the stuff that the Bible say. I said, why you still got some unforgiveness in your heart? She was like, what you talking about? I said, you still mad at my granddad. You still mad at your grandfather. And she just broke down crying. And she was like, how you know? I said, you can see it in you when you know when certain things come up, certain conversations come up. And she was like, I got to ask God to search my heart because I didn't realize that I still got unforgiveness within me. And so now like she's going through that process of, you know, releasing. And I'm like, man, it's a forever phase of life that we have to go through. But you got to be willing to do the work, and the work is not easy.
And so the thing is that, and I have a daughter, and I can imagine not saying I love you back to my daughter. So what did that do? What did that do to you growing up and not receiving that love from your dad?
Can I say the N word on her? It made me into an NB. Like this dude told me that. I said, what that mean? He said, man, you act like a nigga bee. And I said, what that mean? And he was like, you're so hard. He was like, you hard like a guy. And I was like, really? He was like, me and my sister, like we can be a partner, like a homeboy, like real cool. Like, come on, let's go. And I was like, nah, I don't like that. Like, I don't want to be that to a person. I want to be like Keith said, that soft person. And my dad told me, he said, baby, I apologize. I said, what you talking about that? He said, I didn't teach you and your sister how to be soft. I didn't teach y'all how to be submissive to a man. So I had to relearn that myself. And I was allowed to have a mentor that was a woman that, you know, and she allowed me to come into their home and see like what real, organic, authentic, unconditional, like the only challenge they have is who gonna love the person the more, you know, the most. And I'm just like, wow, imagine this type of lifestyle for real. And I took that same implementation and I put it into like my corporate spaces, I put it into my nonprofit spaces, and it's just like it opens people up when you start really like being organic and authentic and soften up. Like, man, we could be talking and somebody will just break down crying. I'm like, damn, they crying for real. But it's like, because you're not that hard person or that shell or that little girl.
They
felt it's a safe space.
It was a safe space
so you
create
that space.
Well, you know how
in relationships.
Those spaces.
Jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Because I'm vibing with everything she's saying, particularly from from personal experience, right? There's so many things I want to address about that, but I mean, I agree with you 100%. I think the first problem we start with is the reason why you have that hardness and the toughness, because people have a lot of pride. A lot. Right? And absence of vulnerability is pride.
It is, I agree.
That's what it is, right?
Absolutely.
Because a lot of things you're saying, I lived through that myself. I grew up in where love was assumed, it wasn't spoken.
Right.
Right. I mean, I know for a fact. I know my mother loved me. I could probably count on my hand how many times she actually told it to me. You know what I'm saying? So, and I get that, and I also know the effects that my house was very competitive, so to speak, right? Particularly on that pride thing, right? It was like my brothers. We say now, older, that we love each other, but back then, that was a punk move.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was all about being like survival. You know what I mean? You was assumed to know. I didn't know how to love when I was younger. That's why one thing I knew, we would call it God or just self-awareness. I knew, and you know this because we talk about it all the time. I knew I wasn't going to get married till I was older.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Right.
I knew that I wasn't mature enough to be married, nor was I interested in it. I was not, right? But there is something to be said about you growing up and maturing in love, because like you said, me and my wife, we all love each other with the love in front of my daughter. We all, like she would tell you, my daughter was sitting here right now, she'd be like, good Lord, they can't stop kissing each other. That's just how we are.
Right.
But that's not an environment I grew up with.
Right.
Now, the flip side of that is that opportunity to love was always there. And again, this is not saying the onus is on women. I'm just literally talking about my experience.
Right.
But it took something. My wife is an extremely lovable person. She is. She's a very lovable person. Me, not so much. But her, very lovable person. And it took somebody who understood what love is, right? And the women, I'm not telling you to take a chance to do this. I'm just saying me and my wife was divine intervention. Because, but I'm just saying, her ability to be lovable, right? As Keith said, because I don't want women to think that, that softness means that you're weak and meek. That's not what we're saying at all, right? We're not saying that's not it. It's more or less to show love and be lovable. You know what I mean? We don't need confrontation. Communication will supersede confrontation every time.
Every time.
Talk to be heard, listen to understand.
Right.
But it took that for me to get here, to feel like there's a safe place to land, and stuff like that. So this very much is possible, but it's all about you've got to supplant your pride.
You got to.
And be vulnerable. You got to be open.
Gotta be open.
It's just like you're a businesswoman. Just like entrepreneurship is all about taking risks.
It's all about
There's no such thing as a safe millionaire. It's never happened. You got to love is the same way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? You take a risk. You can fail on the business, and you get up and take another risk on the business.
Oh, absolutely.
But you can fail on love. Like I ain't doing that.
I ain't doing that no more.
I'm gonna get mine. I'm gonna get mine.
I ain't doing that no more. But you know what? Honestly, though, even with dudes, because I always put up barriers real early in my age. Like you couldn't get close to my heart. And for the first time, I took this bodyguard now. I just call him the monster.
Yeah, we got that last week. I'm gonna volunteer to get my heart broken.
I did. I volunteered that year. I volunteered to get my heart broken, and it put up a bigger barrier. But I'm gonna tell you, it's a very, very vulnerable place to be when you take them barriers down, because it's some hurt and some pain come with that.
Right.
And you gotta keep,
because when you're vulnerable, you don't have control. That's the problem.
Control.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and you don't have control, and when things happen, I'm learning not to build that, because it didn't happen the way I want. Try to keep that wall down.
Yeah.
It's hard, but you try to keep that wall down, because you put that wall up and you can't get close to you. And men are big for that. You know what? I'm not gonna let you get close to me because you did this, you did that. And jumping subject on another subject, today we don't take time out with each other. She said something a little while ago. We're in the car. You can be in the car, and two people just driving out, ain't saying two words to each other.
Ain't saying nothing the whole time.
One on the phone, one doing something. You can have two people and we don't. That time we have with each other, we do not take advantage of it.
So I'm gonna tell you, and a lot of times, like you mentioned, like being on the phone. I'm gonna tell you, one of the things that we since we have these things, these devices and stuff, we talk about it. I don't know how much different it is today than it was in yesteryear. One of the things they say, nobody talks to each other, right? And then there's a picture of 1946 on a train, and everybody has a newspaper up. Nobody's talking to nobody on the train, right? So we always had something to take us away from each other. A lot of times, believe it or not, we communicate more now than we did in the past. because this is what I believe that goes on in a lot of relationships. The reason a lot of relationships, I believe, are starting to kind of splinter and separate, outside of any other stuff, infidelity and finance, whatever, we never fucking miss each other anymore.
Yeah.
I've talked to you 70 times today. Listen, I heard one dude saying my daddy left for work at 6 in the morning. He didn't talk to my mama until 6 when he got home. And they had a whole day to talk about.
Whatever
he said,
it was.
and now my wife calls me every time her fingernail chips and every time she sees something she likes and everything. And he was like, I've talked to her 70 times before I got home. And now that I get home, I don't want to talk to her anymore. And so I said, wait a minute.
I never thought about that.
You gotta be careful when you say that to the audience, because you understand. What if you're a young couple who has kids? Now, I'm not saying talk to them 70 times a day, but by the time I get home, I'm just saying in general. I'm just saying when you get home, it's an opportunity because
your ass was raised. You was raised with a parent with kids, and your parents didn't have to talk that damn much. What we got to talk about my kids today?
Well, you know what's different now? You say we communicate a lot. When's the last time you wrote a letter to somebody? I just had that conversation with somebody.
It's called text messages.
Yeah.
It's called texting.
No.
Everything's the evolution.
No. I'm supporting what you're saying. When's the last time you wrote a letter to somebody and had to mail it and wait for them to send a letter back to you?
I mean,
well, keep. That's just not efficient. Nobody does
I'm not.
that.
No, I know they don't do it anymore, but I'm just saying.
So what's the point, though?
The point is,
yeah.
in between that, I was in the military, right? So I had a girlfriend. So it wasn't no cell phones back then. It wasn't no. So I had to write a letter. So I'm sitting here. The anticipate. Well, he's saying over communicating. So the anticipation of getting a letter back, it was so much more value in that.
Hold up, wait. I hear what you're saying, but I have to counter.
Well, I'm just supporting what he was saying.
Yeah, no, I have to counter.
I get you. I get you.
Basically, he's saying he like to talk. That's what
he
like to talk.
No, but the thing is,
he want to talk to you 24/7.
No, but what he's saying is, when that the anticipation of that letter coming back, and knowing and you can't wait to see what they say, because now you get a chance to write yours back and send it, right? Where now, I'm not, trust me, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with sending the middle of the day I love you or I miss you or whatever the case may be, but what I'm saying is, I believe there is a lot of over communication. And a cousin of mine used to say this one thing about this guy who was always trying to talk to her. She said, "Damn, let me miss you sometimes. There should be a thing where you're smothering me.
Yeah.
Now, you're smothering me has turned to, I text you all day long. We FaceTime all day long. I got your location. I got all this other stuff. We do, and it's almost like that used to be called smothering. Now, if you don't do that, you are not operating in now what today's relationship
is normal.
It's normal.
It's considered
Well,
normal.
It's considered normal.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, because I hear what you're saying, but that's like, I don't know if I can.
Bossy, if you got to talk to your wife 7 times a day, just say that, man.
No,
You ain't got
I don't. I don't. But I will say this. Because we really don't.
You know what? Go ahead. I'm gonna take you on
We
that.
don't talk. I think I would say it's what I would call quality conversation. I think it was called quality conversation.
I get you on
and
that
it's
one.
quality conversation, right?
Yeah.
It's cool, because I'm gonna tell you right now, right? Me and my wife had a long distance relationship, if you want to call Dallas or Houston long, when we first were dating, right? And what I used to do is every morning I would text her, "I love you," or send her songs. I did that for years, right? And for her, that's quality. Like for her, I could never do that too much, right? But on the flip side, like, she's an Eagle fan just like I am. So if I kept texting the scores of the Eagles games, like, "Yo, did you see what they traded?" That's not quality conversation.
Right.
So if I'm bombarding her with things that are not quality
That
to
don't
her,
matter, yeah.
it gets nauseous. It gets like nauseating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like flip side, my
Good
wife
point.
loves the University of South Carolina women's basketball team. She loves them. I'm not trying to hear about what Dawn Staley did after a while. That's
a good
not
point.
quality conversation to me.
So maybe you're not
Yeah.
getting good conversation. Y'all missing on the conversation.
Yeah, so-
Well, you know what? And the thing is that what I'm seeing is that sometimes it's kind of like, and what, even me and my wife, sometimes, and I said I don't even text sometimes anymore, because now my wife is not a texter, or so she say, but she does send me text. But if I send a text, it's immediately followed with a phone call. I'm like, I was just saying I was gonna stop by the store. Let me know if you need something. And then I was like, because my hands were busy, I wouldn't. And she calls me right there, and I said, babe, there's a new technology. It's called texting. Just send me your list, and we don't have to talk about this because, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, and literally, and I love her to death. And so when she watched this, I'm just pointing out the fact.
Yeah.
I have literally watched her pull out the driveway, and before the front tires hit the street, the phone is ringing. And she's like, hey, I was just wondering, where you want to go for spring break? We've been at home
so you know what?
For hours. We've been at home for 5 hours.
So when y'all talking?
Listen.
Was y'all talking during the 5 hours?
What we talking? Yeah. What do you mean when we talking?
I'm talking about during the 5 hours.
Y'all was sitting at home.
Was y'all just sitting at home going through the rigmarole, or was y'all talking?
It all depends. But here's the thing. We ain't talking if you in your car and I'm in the house.
No, I'm saying before she pulled out, were y'all talking?
Every situation varies. I don't know.
Because what I'm saying is, it goes back to what I'm saying. 2 people sitting in the car, 2 people sitting at home and no conversation, then somebody's looking for an opportunity to talk about something that they want to talk about, but they didn't have the opportunity because, let me tell you something, I go back to the stage now. Mm-hmm. There was no open stage for me to say, hey, you know what? You mind putting the phone down for a minute? Let's talk about this. Because now I just took away what was important to you. Now I go back to what's important to you. Mm-hmm. Is on the phone more important than the person across from you? I can understand if you got a feel of this. Mm-hmm. But if you got more feel of this object more than the person across from you, is the person across from you, where are they getting their feel from?
Right.
That's a good point.
I agree.
That's a good point.
But you got some good points,
Then when she watched this, she gonna say, I've been telling you to put that damn phone down the whole time.
Yeah. So now you're hot.
So I'm saying this is what she gonna say. She watched it. So the hell would you keep?
But I'm just saying, that's what we miss each other, man. I mean, technology has taken the place of intimacy with each other. So we don't, I may want to say, hey, you know what? I was thinking about this. And I look over there. Oh, okay. She's talking to her girlfriend. Or she's on Facebook, or
But okay. See that again. Let's be honest. That goes back to still, old man, get off my lawn, because telephones have been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. So cell phones. You saw your grandma on the phone cackling with her church girlfriends for hours. Yeah. So just because we got cell phones, what intimacy did they have?
You was cackling with your girl now, but you got so many different things.
I was going to say, I have to agree with him on that, right?
Okay.
You're right. Ways to communicate have always been around, right? But the number of ways and we exchange information
was
now,
not
because there are people. Here's the ironic thing, right? Oh man, I'm about to tell on myself something terrible, right? So, in my single days, I purposely had a TV in my bedroom. The main TV was in my bedroom. You can understand why. Mm-hmm. One bed apartment. I put TV in there for a reason. Because if we want to watch TV, that's where we go. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's where we go, right? And I didn't realize there are so many people who grew up where TV wasn't allowed in the bedroom to have conversation.
Yeah.
Now, why do I say this? I still have friends, right, who will say, I don't allow TV in the bedroom.
My wife didn't want
it. But they sitting right here with access to everything the TV has, Instagram, everything, Facebook, TikTok.
So what you saying is they shouldn't allow their phones in the bedroom.
But that's what I'm saying. Yes, when you talk about conversation, the point of the TV not being in there so that you could have conversation.
I agree.
But now they still in the same principle. We don't want a TV. But you're still distracted by the same information the TV has because the tools are so much more easy.
But you know what I find that things on the phone creates a lot of conversation.
Okay, let me ask you this.
I don't know about that.
I want to talk about the stuff I saw.
So let me ask you this. So what's more important, the things on this phone to create conversation or creating conversation with the person across from you? Because if that's your love, if that's your connection, I'm putting more connection in this device, and the trick of the whole situation is, well, if I go look this up, then we can talk about this later. No, we can't, because by the time I spend 2 hours on this,
I think the convenience of the phone, to your point.
Yeah.
I think the convenience of the phone distracts you from recognizing
Exactly.
you got someone sitting.
Yeah, that's somebody right there.
Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm be real, particularly during football season. Man, let's love my wife,
Don't
take a
talk to
bullet
me.
for her, no problem. But during football season, I'm here, me and her laying right next to each other. I'm here watching everything Philly do.
Right.
She on the phone, TikTok until her life's content.
Right.
We be sitting there, and it's sad. We sit there for 90 minutes, won't say
Right.
a word to each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
We deeply in love, but right now,
It's football.
Right now, I gotta see what Jalen Hurts doing. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Okay, so take that phone away, right? There's no phone.
Right.
Would you pay for the NFL package for on your TV?
Absolutely.
Would you still watch it?
Well, yeah, I would.
Okay, all right.
But
so
the
wait.
NFL package is not giving me the stats at my convenience when I
But
can't
like
go
your
on the
phone
NFL
will.
package and say, yo.
But you go to ESPN, you go NFL, you go to Fox Sports, you can go
and
to
that's globally.
Yeah.
I tell you what, put it this way.
You
put it
want-
this way.
you want
If
straight Philly.
If I wanted to see,
I forgot
if
you're
I
not a
wa-
Cowboy
exactly.
fan. All of our stuff is on
Yeah,
all the
I know,
time. You know what I'm saying? We can go anywhere and get all our stuff.
From 1920, you can. But we talk about this.
No, I
century.
get it. Yeah, I know. I get it. I get it. What you're saying is, and what happens is, it becomes system overload
No,
a lot
yeah,
of times,
it
right?
does.
Right.
And so it's funny because my wife fusses at me about the phone, right?
Okay.
But then
That's
I
why-
Now this
but
was
then
coming
no,
from.
but wait though,
Okay.
wait though. And here's the thing. Listen, I'm all for taking in information, becoming better.
Yeah.
But then I fuss at her about her books
Oh.
because when we get
she
in the
read
car.
Wait, you wanted to be
Wait.
married and fair too?
Wait,
you
what?
can't have both.
Listen, they say fairs where you eat corny dogs and ride the Ferris wheel, okay? Here's the thing. So we get in the car and we're leaving and she's grabbing, because she's going to have a bottle of water all the time, and she has a book. And I'm like, yo, we got a 45-minute drive. This is a great opportunity that we're going to be sitting here, we're going to talk.
She wanna read.
So my thing is, I say, the mere fact that you brought your book is
Lets me
telling
know.
me that I'm so damn boring that you don't want to talk to
You
me.
don't wanna
And
talk
she
to
was
me.
like, no, I might get an opportunity. I said, when? When are you going to get the opportunity to read that book? Because when we get where we're going to do what we're doing, and then we got a 45-minute
Yeah.
drive back. And so this is a point of conversation all the time. I'm like, why'd you bring your book? Am I that boring? Do you not want to talk to me? You say you want to talk. We got 45 minutes. Why can't
Let's
we talk?
talk.
And so I'm
Oh,
always
wow.
asking that question because I said, you fussed at me about this, but you just did the same thing with that book because you're telling me you would rather read this book on a 45-minute drive.
I'm with you.
But you know what?
Let you do that.
Y'all really, I'm listening to you talk. Y'all really conditioning each other not to even talk to each other. Because what you're doing is, I pick up the phone. When I look over there, if I'm playing, I'm going to be...
Who is this, man?
I don't know who this dude is.
Look, he's
Hey,
boring.
hey, wait a minute.
all
Listen,
elements
listen. This is the guy who said that erectile dysfunction is the woman's fault. So, y'all understand.
He recanted that.
This is a lot of different facets of
Yeah.
KY.
I've
Hey,
been
but you
blown.
know
Listen.
what? But you know what? I am here
It's
listening
like that when you got-
because
it's that
I
woman
want to
energy
make
that-
sure.
That's what it is.
I want to make sure that I want to make sure that I'm being better at home. So you school me, man.
So what y'all have done, y'all have conditioned each other. I told y'all we're going to be silly today. Today I'm going to be real. But you condition each other not to even communicate with each other without even knowing it.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, when she looks over and sees you on the phone, it's not an opportunity to talk. Because something has told her to put up a roadblock. Like say, if I go over there, this is not safe.
Yeah.
You, when she gets in there with the book, it's something telling you like, hey, it's not a safe place to say, hey, babe, put the book down. Let's talk about some things.
Right.
It's not safe. So when we go to unsafe areas, we
Divert back to what you used to.
exactly. So what?
Yeah.
So now we're both like this. We tunnel vision like
We
this,
tunnel
and
vision.
we wonder why we in society today we're in
Yeah.
a restaurant. We can't talk to each other. We're in the car. We can't talk to each other. You know when we're gonna talk to each other. You're gonna put your head on the pillow. You know what? I'm tired. All right, I'll talk to you later. All right.
And you know what? And I think so. One thing we're not going to alleviate is things being able to distract us, right?
Right. Not gonna alleviate that.
I think to your point, the conversation has to be had that, hey, you can, because I give you the right to interrupt this, right? And the thing is, don't see this as a, because at any given time you could be on your phone, at any given time you could have a book, at any given time you could be watching TV, but outside of when football.
So can I ask you a question?
No, wait, I got something to say to that.
Okay, go for
but
it.
that goes back to what he said though about love. He said love is not for you, it's for the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So you knowing that she likes to read, like you have to be willing to compromise, right? And then in turn she has to be willing to compromise too.
Yeah.
So why not read a book together or find a
read.
book?
I don't
Okay.
read.
Okay. So
I go to sleep.
I was gonna say, why not find a book that
In
you
Genesis
can listen to
chapter-
together? Where then that way y'all can kind of like talk about the book, or why not you send? Because what I do to BK is like if it's something I want to talk about, I'll send it to him, and I'm already knowing if I send it to him, he gonna look at it, and then that can be like a conversation piece to whenever we talk later on throughout that day. And I'll be like, what you thought about the podcast, or what did you think about this conversation?
So wait a minute.
And
So
that's
you
the way.
send stuff from the phone to talk about it.
Yeah.
Y'all just got on me about that.
No, and I'm not saying that that's
Yeah.
a bad thing, but I'm saying like if that
But
helps
here's the thing,
intimacy part of the marriage.
But here's the thing,
because
Veronica,
it keeps the continuation
I
going.
honestly don't. If you want to hop over there and grab your book,
Yeah, you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Okay.
I bring it up because I'm like, wait a minute.
He said,
Hold
is
on,
that a
hold on,
fan?
but
you know what?
They don't have a problem with her reading the
Right.
book. The problem
But
is
when
she
she
can make time to
says
read the book
something-
and he can't watch
So
the
Okay.
phone.
let me ask you
Yeah,
something.
what do you want to
And
What do you
listen,
wanna add?
hey, we all grown now. Let me ask you something. Is it a slight piece? I'm not gonna say the whole piece. Is it a slight piece? My feelings kind of hurt. I'm not important enough to you right now to put that book down.
No, I think it's just to make a point.
No.
Because I'm like that. I'm that way,
Let me finish and to say, you know what? Hey, babe, you mind if I read the book? Or say, you know what? Start off talking to you, hey, babe, and then get into the book. Because you got to understand, as human beings, we're so prideful. We won't say, you know what? My feelings kind of hurt.
The book isn't the issue.
No,
It's the double standard that's the
it's
issue.
not. I'm not
Yeah.
saying the
Yeah.
book is
I
the issue.
understand
The
that.
issue is he's ready for opportunity to talk.
Right.
But instead of him saying, "Hey, I want to talk," and don't get me wrong,
No,
big
but
dog.
that's not his issue
but
at all. That's not the issue.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Opportunity to talk is there. She's got the book. Instead of him saying, "Hey, babe, put that book down for me. Let me talk to you, girl." We get into that book off the shelf and say, "You know what? There she go with that book again." We say that internally. I'm not saying you do,
But that's not his issue at all.
that-
The issue is, I think it's reversed.
Yeah, it's
the
the
issue
other way
is
around.
when he's on the phone.
Well, it's the
she-
same thing.
No, hold on. When he's on the phone, she has a problem with him being on the phone.
Yeah.
They both
But-
have the same problem.
No.
I
he
don't have a problem.
He don't have a
with it.
problem. That's what I'm saying.
I don't have a problem.
He just said when she in the
no.
we got 45
No.
minutes.
No.
He just said 45 minutes.
Because you're
because she is
saying,
the one that
hey,
makes
put
the
it down,
issue.
let's talk, put it down, let's talk.
Right.
When we're in the car, we are here. Let's talk. But I'm saying, when the opportunity presents itself for us to talk, you walk out the house with the book, almost signaling that you don't want to talk, but I thought you wanted to talk.
I don't know what you're missing. This is what he's saying. This is what he's saying. You can have plenty of opportunities to talk, right? You'd have to admit, if you're driving on the road, he can't look at his phone, but so he can't look at his phone, right? There's not a lot of electronic equipment around to disturb it. So if talking, like from his wife's standpoint, if talking is paramount for you, this is the primary opportunity to
For us to
talk.
talk.
But you don't want to, y'all missing what I'm saying. You haven't talked. You ain't talking in the house. You ain't talking over here. You don't want me to call you. Now I get in the
I never said I don't want you to talk.
So when I get in the car, fuck it, I ain't gonna talk. I'm gonna get a book. So hey, we ain't talking. Why talk now?
She gonna
What
say-
the only time I get to talk is when we take a drive.
She gonna watch this and say, I like you.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? When we get in the car, we ain't talk. But all the other times, we ain't talking. You know what? We ain't talking.
See, that's the dude I know.
Oh wow.
I'm just saying. But we listen to what we're saying though. We're saying, okay, we can talk in the car, but the other 20
5
hours, we can't talk. I'm not saying we can't talk.
No, that's not what he's saying, though.
Hey, Don't call me when you pulling out the driveway.
No,
hey,
no.
Don't call me all day. Don't text me all day. I ain't trying to hear this all day.
That is
When I get in the house, look.
He is not saying that.
When I get out the we can talk.
Hey, wait.
When we get in the car.
Keith just weaponizing my words against me. I never said I didn't want to talk. I never said I didn't want to communicate. I never said that, y'all.
I'm not saying T, but it happens a lot of times in this world. But let's tell the truth. I'm not saying you do it, T, but a lot of times do we not do that? Because now we conditioning ourselves. We're saying
so
we can talk.
The conditioning does happen in a lot of situations.
Right. And I'm just messing with. I'm just messing with
100%. We definitely understand that we do condition ourselves not to communicate with distractions and stuff like that.
Right,
It's not always
right.
purposely.
But
that does come within when I say intimacy, I'm talking about overall safety, safe space. Because we talked about having that space to be able to say. Because if I say, there's a lot of guys, because I know a touchy subject for a lot of times is weight with women and the man perception of it, right? There's a lot of times if a guy is super fit or whatever, or if he, if he's like, hey babe, maybe we should go work at the gym, together, because he's trying to create an opportunity, right?
Dude, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. That clip you sent is a boy that man.
And so what happens is
it was exact basically the same. What are you talking about now? Is the clip you sent?
I create a situation that's safe.
Right.
And then if I get my head chopped off, then I no longer, matter of fact, I know a lady who told me, she said, I told my husband about a situation. And I'm forthright, telling everything what happened. I didn't do anything wrong. Somebody did something.
Right.
And it was my fault. And I'm like, first of all, if I did something, you think I would be telling you about it?
Right.
Second of all, when I come to you needing the safety and protection of you embracing me because this was offensive toward me, now you start questioning me. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm bringing it to you as my protector.
Right.
And you know what she said? From here on out, he gets no information.
So what happened? You know what happened in that situation, don't you?
What happened?
He hijacked her emotions. So when I say hijacked her emotions, instead of him tapping into her feelings, hearing her feelings, he took on his feelings.
He took on his own
feelings.
And
disregarded her feelings.
I want to as we wrap up, I want to transition and ask Veronica this also as a mother. We're talking about hijacking emotions and feelings and things like that, because we're still talking about being able to make the decision, or are you choosing wrong, or as men don't know how to treat women and things like that. And I'm asking you as a mother, how do you teach your kids proper communication by not hijacking their emotions, by not twisting what they say, and being a listening ear for them to be able to express themselves so that communication can happen?
Right. So I learned this thing called the 3-second pause. So like before you even respond, just pause, right? Because a lot of times you can respond emotionally or irrationally. So I teach them like, don't even say nothing right now. Let's just pause and then let's revisit it, but in the same day. And so they'll come back and talk to me. My daughter is a communicator where she'll write stuff. So she'll write me a letter. She'll send me a long email, or we'll just communicate, because she hadn't really learned her voice yet. But as she continues to get older, now she's like, Mama, I want to talk to you about this, and this is how it made me feel. And because it made me feel like this, I felt like the way you reacted or responded wasn't right. And I'll be like, okay, I respect your opinion. And then I'll tell her the positive and the negative side of why I responded. And the same thing I do with my son. I tell him like, hey, this is the right and the wrong way. I'm going to teach you both ways of it. So behind every cause is an effect. And so that's it. Because like I'm a firm believer that it's not you do what I say do. It's you gonna do what I'm doing, because I'm gonna strive to lead you the right way as your spirit guide, as your parent, as your person, right? So I'm gonna always try my best to be the best person that I can be, so that I'm leading you in that regard. And then when it's something that, even with me, I have to say, hey, Mama didn't handle it the right way. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have cussed that person out. And I'll tell them the truth, because I'm like, the world is gonna tell them a lie. So you have to make sure that they know the truth of the reaction, or the truth behind the feeling, or the truth behind whatever the situation was. So that's how I teach them.
Apologize to my wife, man.
That's how I teach them.
Conflict, like, I'm a hothead, right?
Right.
And I've always said to my wife, I will never disrespect you, because that's kind of my defense mechanism.
Right.
And one of the biggest problems she has with me is in conflict, right? When there's conflict, because I don't want to say nothing disrespectful that I can't take back, I will shut down and go into another room. And she doesn't have a problem with that. She doesn't have a problem. She used to be the type when I shut down, she'd follow me, and I tell her that's gonna make it worse.
She respects your process
respect that
of your process.
Right.
Yeah.
But what she always tell me, she said, "Baby, I'm cool. If you need to tell, I'm cool. I'm good with that." She said, "But probably if you leave me in limbo, because I don't know when, because I still have something to say.
I still
and
have
I
something
don't
to
know
say.
how long." So she said, "You got to give me.
You gotta give
we
it
can
a
talk to
time.
tomorrow. We
Yeah.
got to talk.
Yeah.
She said, give me something.
Give us something.
But you don't.
Yeah.
And I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
She probably gonna kill me when she watch. She said, "Oh, now she said that."
I'm gonna say this. A friend of mine told me what she did with her daughters. She said she would tell them something, and other ladies that she trusted to be around her kids and other people that would tell them the same thing. She said, "I never said." Also, she said, all I care about is they getting the good
They getting
information.
the right information.
So, Bossy is getting the good information.
Yeah.
It's not a pride thing, so don't kill
No,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah, hey, good sandwich. You know, and every time you say something like this is gonna be a little uncomfortable, but it doesn't mean don't take it personal.
Right.
Because you understand the person across from you has feelings. And their feelings are real.
Yeah.
And you have feelings is real. And we've talked and we've come back and revisited. You know what? I was wrong on that one. Now, after I thought about that, you was right on that. And it takes a lot. And at the time,
it takes a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you blow up on the scene.
Right.
I just absorb it and like I said, let me think about this. And we can agree to disagree.
Agree to disagree.
And then come back and like, you know what?
And I'm gonna tell you something. We always doing the men versus women type deal. Men and women have a hard time coming back saying, I was wrong. And the thing is to go and say, you know what, my bad. I was wrong on.
You know what?
You're better now.
Huh?
You're better now. Oh.
Never
And another
we
thing
lied.
too.
Ooh, that was lying too.
Another thing
Look, that's possible. Well, look, you better not. Oh, okay.
and but another thing too, like that I learned was, like, you know how we grew up saying, you made me mad. Like, nobody can go inside your body and make you mad. You have to make a conscious decision to get mad at somebody. And when you do get upset and angry with that person, you giving your power to them. Because now, I'm not going to speak to you because you made me mad yesterday. So now you letting this person control you. And now that's what should make you mad, the fact that you letting somebody control you. And you minimizing yourself to the lowest tenth of it, what you need to. So it's like, okay, come on, let's figure this out. It's going to be uncomfortable, so let's just figure it out, because I need to get out of my own way so that we will pass this test so we can go on to the next one and the next one. And I realized that.
When you hung
and
up
I
on me.
Listen.
That's probably because I was gonna say something bad. and a lot of times you just don't want to say. A lot of times
I know what I think. I think it's like I was talking to Bossy and T. Wrecked out this phone. That's probably why she hung up on me.
Probably.
We talked about that too.
I said something to you about that. I'm like, what?
Hey, we gonna bring. Alf Coleman's gonna come back on the show and he's gonna explain this to y'all.
That's gonna look. We gonna get in the chat. Y'all talk about that every show.
It's a running joke. It's a running joke.
Hey, well, listen, let me tell you something. I think this has been a great conversation. Hopefully you guys will be able to actually agree, disagree, but make sure you put the comments in and understand that the ideal of the conversation is not so much of the point fingers, but is to put out what we believe, what the issue is, and then find out how we can become better and make it a solution. So I think I've learned a lot from this show. Hopefully you guys did too. So from my man KY, Bossy, and I guess Veronica, if we want to give you the final words, you got anything you want to say?
No, I just want to say thank y'all so much for having me today. I feel like this was a very valuable conversation. I'll be able to take what I learned today and talk to my girlfriends about it, because it's a lot of single women that are really like seeking, good men, and just being able to have intellectual conversations on, well, this is the thought process from men, and this is how they feel, and this is what they think, and to help change the perception of a woman, because it's a lost world out here, and we're just trying to get it back.
That's what this platform was. We're not a woman bad
It's a lost
platform.
world, and we're just trying to get it back.
Yeah.
And it's okay, women, to be submissive, man. Get you a man and be submissive. Do not be one of those rough women, because that does not win. I'm telling you, love wins every time.
And I'm gonna say this as we close. I'm gonna say this. Listen, Veronica said, "Get your man." There's a difference between a man and a male. Understand if you're dealing with a man versus a male, and understand also. You have to understand two things. One, you have to understand that you are not perfect, and then you have to understand that we are not perfect.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
relationships are two imperfect people trying to figure out how to best align themselves with each other. And there's going to be some give and take. There's going to be some L's you have to take, but the L's get made up by the wins that you get. And it's not really an L, because if you're moving the process forward, you guys are moving close to the goal. So we'll see you guys next time right here on Toxic is the New Masculinity.
Peace out.
And I didn't say Memphis.
It's just